Hello everyone, we made it to the West Coast. Hey, have you ever wondered how these are made, the multiplier, or maybe the great knives that Gerber makes? John and I are going to find out here in just a moment. Come on, let's go inside and see how all of this comes together to make a multiplier. Gerber Legendary Blades. Let's go check it out. All right, here we are inside. Let's go down and see if I can find my good friend Marty. And he's going to give us a little history. We're going to go through the factory on the tour. So come on, let's go see if we can find Marty. Marty! Hey, we finally made it to Portland.
Welcome to Gerber Legendary Blades.
Oh, we're excited to be here. Everyone, this is Marty Owens, the Senior National Sales Manager for Gerber. And we're out here to see how things start out as raw material and how they end up going out the other end of the door as a Gerber knife or a Gerber tool. Can you give us a little brief history on how Gerber got started?
It'd be my pleasure, Steve. Gerber began in 1939 when Joseph Gerber, owner and president of an advertising company, decided he wanted to give his customers a special Christmas present. So he got together with a metallurgist and a designer and created 25 carving sets. The sets were so popular that some of his customers like Abercrombie & Finch, LL Bean, Macy's and Dayton Hudson asked if he would produce the sets that they could sell in their stores, and Gerber Legendary Blades began. Through the 1940s and 50s, they created a variety of different carving and kitchen knife sets, steak knife sets. In the early 1950s, Joseph sold the company to Pete Gerber, who I like to think of the legend in Gerber Legendary Blades, and Pete expanded the business, coming out with a series of hunting knives in the 1960s, tactical knives during the Vietnam War era, moving more into fillet knives and adding everyday carry knives to the 1970s and 1980s, moving into multi-tools in the 1990s. And in the last 10, 15 years, adding equipment like axes, saws, and machetes, as well as LED flashlights and headlamps.
Wow, real exciting. I tell you what, we're going to get to go through the factory today and see how, like I said, everything starts out as raw material, but then it ends up going out the door either as a multi-tool or a knife or whatever it may be. So I tell you what, folks, come on along with us as we go out here in the factory. We're going to see how Gerber knives are made. Again, Marty, let's go check it out.
Great.
Here we are inside the factory, and one of the really neat things is the blades for Gerber are laser cut. And as you see right here, it starts out as a steel plate, and the big monster laser over here actually cutting out the blades. Now 90% of the blades that are used in this facility are cut right here on this big monster machine. Hey, the big laser's done its job. We've got the blade. Now, let's go around the rest of the factory and see how the folks at Gerber come up with this. As the blades are cut out with the laser, they move over to the grinding station where we see here the lady loading the blades onto the grinder conveyor belt. You'll notice all the liquid coming out of these grinders. The blades will go through this, across this conveyor belt to the double head grinder, which will actually put the first color finish onto the blades. Gerber has a very unique process with all their water that we see being used here. These are blades coming out of the grinder, being washed with the water. Every drop of water at Gerber actually goes through a recirculation system and is purified, and all of this contaminant that's going into the water is taken out, and actually at the end of the day, the water is as clean coming out of the purification system as it was to start the day. So they're very environmentally friendly at Gerber, being out in Portland, Oregon, and taking care of our environment for us. See the grinding compound coming off the blades. At Gerber, at each of the stations, you'll find samples of what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. These are commonly known as go and no-go samples. Here we see the guy loading strap cutters onto the fixtures, and then they're rotating into the grinding head. You'll notice as he takes each of them out, he visually inspects them to make sure that they pass the no-go stage. And here as we move on to this station, we see a lady actually attaching the thumb studs onto the blades. These will eventually end up in multipliers in the multi-tools for Gerber. This is a simple process of actually peening the thumb stud onto the blade. She's inspecting each one of them, and she'll throw them over in the tray, and they'll move on to assembly from this area. And as we move to this section, we see a lady loading in another fixture here. What she's doing, the machine is actually bending the scissors to where the scissors will actually make the cut. Each scissor, if you notice in your multi-tool, has a certain bend in it. This machine bends each side simultaneously so that when they're assembled in assembly, they'll actually touch each other and cut. And here we have famous Jawzilla. This machine takes the plier heads for the Gerber multi-tools that have been partially assembled, and he's actually putting the finishes on the jaws or the plier head for the multi-tool. Very neat operation, and Jawzilla can work 24/7 if he needs to. Okay, what you see here is before in my right hand, and in my left hand is the one after Jawzilla. Puts the taper here, compared to here, and the finish on the sides of it. Before, after. Here we move into a station where the guy's actually loading all the implements that will end up in the handle of the multi-tool, the blades, you see the screwdriver tip there, and notice each piece has a bushing between it. Then he'll simply install the handles around that, the screws put in place, a drop of Loctite put in there, and then he'll go back to the back of this machine where a screwdriver head is at, and he'll actually assemble that. Then he'll check it for tolerances to see that the blade's actually open and closed and it's not too tight or too loose. Here we have the handles that have the implements already put in. We just saw at the other workstation. The guy's actually taking two of the handles, one on each side, and assembling them together for the multi-tool. Then as the tools move along the assembly line, right here the lady is actually adjusting the tension on the tools one at a time and making sure that everything is there, and then she will actually open it up and check the blades and make sure that they open and close. And then as she does these, and keep in mind that all these stations, several of them are going at the same time, so you're actually several workers down the line doing the same exact thing she's doing. She'll open up the four tools, place the jaws of the that just came off Jawzilla, the multi-tool jaws there, putting the washers and spacers in place that are needed for this tool. Four at a time, she'll do the assembly work, flipping them over to do the other side. And then one at a time, she will put the keepers on those jaw heads to keep them inside the tool, and then test each one as they go down the line. Here we have two workers actually assembling the carbide cutters in the multi-tool that has the cutter heads in them used for cutting wire. So they're taking the carbide pieces and attaching those with the screw and then making sure that those are tight. You notice one station here is working with the brush finish, the other station is working with the black finish on the tools. So multiple tools will be going through the factory at the same time from different workstations. Here we see the final inspection area, the QC, the quality control area, where the assembled tools are actually checked for the quality control before they will move out of here and go into the various packing cells that are available to, whether it's a clam pack or a box packaging, and it'll get to sheet at that point. Gerber is huge in the military market, and here we see a milling machine taking billet, aircraft aluminum billet handles, and he's placing them in the mill with the examples placed in there. And this mill will cut two of each side. You see the blocks of aluminum being placed into the fixture, and he will secure secure these in with the screwdriver and make sure they're all good and flat in the proper position before he loads them into the mill. And then the mill will actually mill out the handles exactly as they are right there in the middle of the fixture. Very high-tech operation. And again, you'll notice when the mill is running, the water situation, the water and the oils in the purification system at Gerber is second to none. It's state of the art. It will take those water and oil mixtures right there and purify those at the end of the day. And those are used on each one to, of course, cool the fixture as well as lubricate while they're cutting those out. Here we move into the famous station of the Gerber Gator. What we see going on here is assembly of a handle with a lock bar, and then the blade is placed into this handle. And then this attachment screw will be placed through the blade and Loctited in and secured, and then passed on from this station to the next station, which would be sharpening or packaging from this place, from this area. All the pins are hand adjusted. And you'll notice the workers also checking the blade tension after they've got it all tightened up to make sure that's their quality control. Then it'll go through another quality control inspection to make sure that the blade works and functions properly. And here we're in the famous area where Gerber puts that superior polished honed edge on all their blades. This is one of the most skilled positions you'll find in the Gerber factory, as you'll notice that all the work that is done here is done freehand. So it takes years of practice, or actually years of experience, to learn this freehand motion to get the exact bevel and edge that's needed on each Gerber blade to make them razor sharp.
Hello, my name is Chris Beard. I'm a butt sharpener, and our knives are sharp enough that you can actually shave the hair off your arms with.
And here we move to one of the newest cells at Gerber, assembly cells. This is the high-tech area where the USA-made Gerber lighting products are done. Large contracts with the U.S. military on the lighting situation with Gerber. You'll notice these workers actually take and assemble the lights from circuit boards all the way through the finished product and the test operation. These are very high-end tactical lights. Like I say, most of them done for the U.S. military and their contracts. Gerber also has a very unique lighting station, test station at their facility, where they actually can verify the lumens that are on their package is exactly what is coming out of those lights. It's one of the few lighting stations, lighting test stations in the United States. Folks, we're on our way out. I tell you what, we've had an exciting day here at Gerber. We've been through the factory. We've seen the big laser at work, the multi-tool work cells and putting those together, the Gerber gators being built, the sharpening section. We went through the LED lights, just everything here at Gerber. We've had a fantastic day. And as we're heading out the door now, back to Sevierville, back to Smoky Mountain Knife Works, we definitely want to say thanks to Amy, Stephanie, and Jim. They've helped us today moving lights and dragging cable and doing all that. So thank you guys for helping us. Marty and all the crew here at Gerber for having us out. We're excited. So we're going to head on back to Sevierville now. See you later.